Hey guys, Jared here, and in today's episode, I'm talking about my book, Overnight Success, Chapter 2. It's called Feel Good, Do Good, and I talk about different things that make me feel good and how that actually translates into what you can accomplish with your life. So things like indirect investments and why it's a good idea to buy an expensive car even though your accountant would tell you it's not. Things like your morning routine that get you ready for your day. So if you want to learn about those types of things, watch this video. I hope you enjoy. If you get some value out of it, subscribe to my channel, and all I ask is that you share it with a friend. Thanks, guys. So my former beliefs came from my history, my past. For 2 years prior, 3 years prior, my beliefs were that I could make a $60,000 salary. And then when I started selling hoverboards, my belief was that I could make $1,000 a day. But the real thing that was a breakthrough for me was on my journey from California to Florida. It was a 5-day drive. And during those 5 days, I outsourced all my drop shipping work, and my store went from $2,000 a day to $5,000 a day, it hit $14,000, $34,000. It actually hit $50,000 a day on my last day. And that actually demolished my beliefs, because when I was hitting $2,000 a day, I was like, okay, cool, this is possible. Never thought in a million years that $50,000 a day was possible. But from that point on, anything less than $50,000 a day is now very attainable. So that was the one experience that shattered my beliefs. The main thing was actually just outsourcing and allowing my creative mind to go on autopilot and try things that would actually enhance the business. So like I said, I had to drive for 5 days straight, at some days 18 hours per day, some days 12 hours per day. So I had no choice but to automate things. Prior to that, I was actually doing it all myself. I was getting on the computer, I was running ads, I was answering customers, and I was using a lot of my energy and a lot of my creative juices to tasks that didn't actually really grow the business. When I automated things and I was actually driving, I had no choice but to be on autopilot. I wasn't scrolling on social media. I wasn't talking to people all the time. I wasn't walking around the stores. I wasn't looking everywhere. I was driving. Everything was automated, so my mind was thinking. And every time I thought of a cool idea, which was all the time, I would just reach out to the person who was running that part of my company. So for example, my media buyer, I would think of something like, why don't we try tweaking this? Or why don't we try doing this, or this method, or this duplication method, or this scaling method? And while I was on autopilot, I thought of a lot of ideas. And if I had been executing them myself, I would have used a lot of my creativity and a lot of my energy to where I probably wouldn't have thought of too many more ideas. But since I just kept allocating them to someone else and he kept executing the ideas, we were able to try a bunch of things and found something that broke through for us. Well, I want to elaborate on the fact that I said small problems, because everyone has small problems. You have the same problems as me. Your problems aren't unique to yourself. In most cases, a lot of other people have the same problems. There's people that have much, much bigger problems than you. And if you let the small things affect your well-being, it's going to translate. You're going to get into a negative momentum. You're going to start feeling bad about other things in your day, which will turn into bigger problems over time. So you have to look at small problems as, you can't feel as problems are a bad thing. They're just things you got to get by. And small things, you just swat them away like a fly. And if you don't, it'll affect you in a compounding effect. It's really important to always be on the forefront of things. If you're stagnant, even if you're doing well, eventually your business is going to start going down unless you're always trying new things, unless you're always being innovative. People out there are always trying new things, and someone's always going to be doing things better than you. So it's important to get out there, see what's working, and continuously try to beat your bottom line. So I think that your morning is by far the most important part of your day. It's what leaves an impression on you for the rest of your day. And so many of us just wake up and we start reacting to things. Like you may wake up at 7 o'clock and you have to be at work at 8:30. So you wake up, you brush your teeth, you shower, you eat breakfast, you're in the car, and you didn't even have a chance to start thinking about your day yet. You just reacted to things the whole time. Maybe you scrolled through social media while you sat on the toilet. Like, you need some time to yourself in the morning to think about your vision. You need to think about your vision every single day. So if you want to be, a successful business owner, or if you want to be have a great family, or you want to run a huge charity, you have to visualize that every single day. If you let that valuable time of solitude and the valuable time alone slip by, you're never going to get there. And in the morning, you have full control over your day. Once you get into your day, you're reacting. So make sure that you're proactive in your mornings. My routine is kind of always changing, but the basics of it are the same. I'm always trying new things to see what makes me my optimal self. So, for example, right now my morning routine is I wake up at 5 o'clock. First thing I do is I get up and I run out my door, and I'll run for like 10 minutes. Actually, great book is the 5 a.m. Club. This is where I got this morning routine from. So I'll run for like 10 to 20 minutes. I'll break a sweat. I'll get my endorphins going. I'll make the cortisol levels go down in my body. And then it's about 5:20. I'll come and I'll sit on my couch and I'll just think. I won't go on my phone. I won't start answering emails. I won't start working. I'll just think, and I'll think about my day, and I'll plan. And then the last 20 minutes of that hour-long segment before 6 o'clock, I'll read a book, something that is healthy to consume, something that gets me thinking in the right direction, something that inspires me. And by that time, I've taken such a grasp on my morning that I'm at a level of peace and I'm not thinking about a million different things, so that when I go into my day, it's in attack mode rather than react mode. Business is not easy. Being an entrepreneur is not an easy thing by any means. So anyone who's thinking about getting into entrepreneurship, just know that you have much better odds of getting a job. But if you take the route, you're diving into something, and you're going to be consistently challenging yourself. It's kind of like you can't give up once you get started. The only time you fail is when you give up. So you really get a chance to figure out what are your limits and how far are you willing to go. Indirect investments are a tricky thing. It's something that your financial advisor or your parents or your accountant probably would tell you that it's a bad idea. And I mean, like, not necessarily buying assets, but buying liabilities that make you feel really good. For example, a car. If you buy a really nice car, it's not a good asset. It's not a good investment. It's going to depreciate right when you get it. But the effect it has on you is that if you're dealing with high-level business dealings every single day, and you get on a phone call and you feel like $1 million because you're driving a car that makes you feel so good, you may close a deal that makes you millions of dollars, even though the car only cost you 100 grand. Or for example, a house like this, right? I rent this house and it's not making me any money. As a matter of fact, I'm throwing a lot of money into rent every single month. But at the same time, I get to wake up, I get to walk into this beautiful room every morning, and it puts me in a great mindset. So when I get to the office, I'm not stressed, I don't feel confined, I feel great. And I consider that an investment because I feel like I make more money because of the mindset I put myself in from having these things than I would if I tried to save things and save a little bit of money here and there in the long run. So back when I was 16 years old, I was on a trip to Florida with my best friend at the time, and we were driving my grandma's minivan. We're from Long Island, New York. There's not really many exotic cars there. And I saw one of my first Lamborghinis ever, and I looked over, and I assumed it was some like old rich guy. But I looked in, and it was like a young guy wearing a hat like this. He looked like he was 25 years old. So I was like, dude, what does this guy do? I talked to my friend. I had him roll down the window, and he was a young guy. I asked him how old he was. He was 28. And to me, I was like, how would a 28, he must have rich parents. So I'm like, what do you do for a living? And he said, I trade commodities. I didn't even know what that meant, but I told my best friend, I'm like, we got to go trade commodities right now. And so, but in essence, it really just inspired me that somebody who was 28 years old was able to accomplish enough to buy a car that I was so attracted to, that that actually shattered some of my beliefs at an early age. It made me think that maybe by the time I'm 25, I can have something like that too. And it was something that every time I doubted myself, I just kind of thought back to that moment. I was like, oh, that guy could do it. Maybe I could do it too. It's hard to find